what is a trust? A trust is like a legal bucket. You put things into the bucket like your money, your home, your prized collection of antique spoons, and the bucket is managed by somebody else for the benefit of somebody else. Now, it depends on the type of trust that you have. With a living trust, for example, those can all be you. But wait, let's break it down a little further with a little pizzazz. Imagine a trust as a container. You as the settlor are the one who puts the assets into the container. The trustee is the one holding the container, making sure it doesn't spill. And the beneficiary is the person or people who eventually get to take things out of that container. Now, a trust can hold about anything: money, property, stocks, and even that giant inflatable swan in your pool. But why would you use a trust instead of just handing over your assets? The answer: control, protection, and privacy. A trust can make sure your assets are handled according to your wishes, even after you're not around to give directions. Okay, now let's get to know the stars of our show: the settlor, the trustee, and the beneficiaries. Now, the settlor, also known as the grantor or trustor, is the person who creates the trust. They are the one with the vision saying, I want my assets managed this way. Think of the settlor as the director of a movie. They set the rules, they pick the actors, and write the script. Now, if you call us and have us set up a trust, that would usually be you. Next, we have the trustee. This is the person, or sometimes a company, and it's like a movie producer. They make sure everything goes according to the script. Trustees manage the assets in the trust, making decisions based on what's in the trust document. But unlike a movie producer, they're legally obligated to put the beneficiary's interest first. No skimming off the top for a luxury yacht here. And finally, the beneficiary. And they're the star of the show, the ones who benefit from the trust. The trustee might manage the assets, but ultimately it's the beneficiary who gets to enjoy those assets. Whether that's income, property, or a nice annual payout, the beneficiary reaps the rewards. Okay, now you may have heard terms like common law and civil law thrown around, but what does that have to do with the trusts? Well, let's talk about how these two legal systems view trust, because it makes a big difference. In common law countries like the United States, the UK, Canada, and Australia, trusts are a big deal. Common law is all about precedent, meaning decisions from previous court cases guide future ones. It's like that friend who always says, well, last time we did it this way. I mean, we all have that friend, right? Now, civil law countries like most of Europe and parts of Latin America focus more on written statutes than on judicial decisions. Trusts aren't ingrained into the civil law world, so they can be a bit more challenging to navigate. But don't worry, if you have assets in a civil law country, there are still ways to set up trusts or similar structures with the help of a good attorney. Okay, now that we know the key players, let's talk about the types of trusts. Oh yes, there's a trust for every occasion, like a Swiss Army knife, but for your assets. First up, we have the revocable trust. It's like having a car with a reverse gear. You can change your mind after the trust is set up, or even dissolve it altogether. Revocable trusts are great for managing assets during your lifetime and avoiding probate when you pass away. Okay, next there's the irrevocable trust. This one's like a one-way ticket. Once you set it up, you can't readily undo it, but here's the catch. It's much better for protecting your assets from creditors, lawsuits, and taxes. And the nice thing is, if the trust is drafted properly, you can have the trustee make certain changes according to your wishes. Once assets go in, they're no longer considered yours, which can be a huge benefit in the right situation. Okay, let's talk about a living trust. A living trust is created while you're alive, and a testamentary trust is created through your will after you pass away. Think of the living trust as a pre-planned vacation, and a testamentary trust as one that starts the moment you're off the plane. Now, why should you even bother with a trust? Well, here are the top reasons. Avoiding probate. With a living trust, your assets don't have to go through the public, expensive, and time-consuming probate process. It's like taking the express lane instead of being stuck in traffic. Second, asset protection. An irrevocable trust can shield your assets from creditors, lawsuits, or even long-term care costs. Now, an irrevocable trust does not automatically make it an asset protection trust. In order for it to provide asset protection, it must be drafted properly in the proper jurisdiction and have an independent third-party trustee. So it's like putting your valuables into a vault with a big do not touch sign. Tax planning. Trusts can help reduce estate taxes. Now, sure, Uncle Sam can always get a slice, but with a trust, you can help make sure he doesn't get the whole pie. Control beyond the grave. Want to make sure that your 18-year-old doesn't blow their inheritance on a sports car? A trust lets you dole out money money over time, ensuring that your wishes are respected even after you're gone. After all, you don't want your children buying Lamborghinis in every color.